briefly from a conference that I'm attending here in the beautiful Ritz-Carlton Hotel here in Phoenix, Arizona. Today's topic is something that I am totally guilty of, and I just wanted to put a highlight on it, just in case you are as guilty as me, and it pertains to sleep. Now, if you noticed last week when I spoke about the stress reducers, I also highlighted something about sleep, especially as it pertains to electronic equipment in your room, for instance, your TV. So let's delve a little deeper into sleep. Now, like I said, I am totally guilty of this. Sometimes when I am on the road working as a hospitalist, which is something that I still do part-time because I just love still being able to connect with my patients, because from them I'm able to feel or get a pulse of what exactly is going on with people, why it is that they get sick, and strategies that I can implement, bring to you so that you can prevent yourself from being that patient in the hospital. And so when I'm running those shifts, they're typically a 12-hour shift from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then by the time I unwind in my room, it's close to 12. And then I have to get up, say, about 5:36. So as you may imagine, when I'm running those shifts, I do tend to get sleep deprived. Now, research does show that the average American gets less than 6 hours of sleep, and that certainly does begin to affect our performance, our productivity, and our overall well-being. So let's delve into sleep and get in the quality of sleep that you need very frequently. Now, as I shared with you, things like having a television in your room or an electronic radio may actually emit electromagnetic radiations and could possibly interfere with your sleep. You may not be totally aware of it when it's happening, but it certainly may interfere. Electromagnetic radiations may certainly interfere with the quality of your sleep. Another thing you want to do if you are sleep deprived, and by the way, statistics do show that Americans have a high degree of insomnia. We're not just talking about the amount of sleep that you get, which is traditionally less than 6 hours. We're also talking about a huge segment of Americans that have a high degree of insomnia. In other words, they are not able to sleep throughout the night. So if you're one of those people dealing with insomnia, or one of those people not getting the amount of sleep that you need, you really need to clean up on your sleep. We call it sleep hygiene. Here are some strategies. Number one, my pet peeve: reduce the amount of caffeinated drinks. That includes your Coca-Cola, your Pepsi, your Mountain Dew. People are not aware of the fact that Mountain Dew contains a high amount of caffeine, so you really want to reduce your amount of caffeinated products, especially towards the end of the day. So for instance, that Mountain Dew or that Coca-Cola or that Pepsi or that Dr. Pepper, whatever, at the end of the day with your dinner may not be a good strategy. I sometimes go out to restaurants on my trips, and I see people drinking coffee after their dinner cocktails. And go figure what's likely to happen. It's likely to interfere with the quality of their sleep. So you really want to eliminate coffee. Number two, if you exercise, which a lot of people may want to do after a busy day, you want to make sure that you exercise less than 2 hours, preferably 2 to 3 hours, more than 2 to 3 hours prior to bedtime. That's because exercise naturally releases these happy hormones called endorphins, and they rev through your system and they make you happy and they pep you up. If you're trying to get to sleep after exercise, it's going to be very unlikely. You're going to have a problem going to sleep. So you want to, make sure you space your exercise at least 2 to 3 hours, preferably 4, before you go to sleep. Another thing is you probably don't want to sleep on a full stomach. Mothers told us best. Sleeping on a full stomach can cause what is called reflux, and reflux could lead to, is acid coming up the esophagus from the stomach, and it can certainly interfere with your sleep. You may have symptoms like heartburn. You may even wake up coughing, gasping for air. Those may be symptoms of reflux, which is when you go to sleep on a full stomach. Besides, it could probably be very uncomfortable. So I know a lot of us who run around having a busy day tend to eat late and go to bed immediately after. Look at that in terms of the quality of your sleep. Now, what happens if you are somebody who has insomnia and tends to wake up during the night, here's some strategies that I usually recommend to my patients. First of all, the biggest thing is don't toss and turn and begin to fret and become aware of the fact that you're not able to sleep. What's going to happen is you're going to become stressed out. You're going to be having a high level of cortisol released into your system, which stresses you out further, begins to rev up your system. You become frustrated and you're not going to sleep. So if this happens to you, you want to get up, go to another room, and do something that is soothing. For instance, listen to some music, read a book, probably not the newspaper, but you want to read a book. You know, I usually say this may be a time when God is calling to you. So you may want to get up and read your Bible or some other spiritual book of your faith. And that generally, after some time, should put you back to a state where you're ready to go to sleep. Do this for whatever length of time it takes. Don't fret about the clock. Now, as time goes on, as you begin to retrain your body by getting up, going to another room and reading, you'll find that over the next few nights, you'll be able to get back to sleep sooner. Another thing is if you're somebody who has to take bathroom breaks during the night, you may want to have a night light on rather than putting on the overhead light. That certainly stuns your system, makes you wide awake. It's harder to go back to sleep. So that's one other strategy you may want to pay attention to. Have a bathroom light, a soothing bathroom light, rather than a night light, rather than, putting on the bathroom light. Another strategy that you may want to implement with regards to waking up waking up during the night, is to simply practice deep breathing. So practice some deep breathing. If that does not work, then get up and practice the other strategies that I talked about. So sleep hygiene is something that's very important. I usually like to shy away from prescribing sleep medications. And also, I know that you have over-the-counter medications such as, Tylenol PM or Advil PM or whatever PM, which usually relates to some sleep aid. I really shy away from that. You do not want your body to become habituated to depending on a sleep aid to get sleep. But if you need a sleep aid, you may want to speak to your healthcare provider about implementing something for the short term, but you really want to come up with some behavioral strategies that help you better. So that's it on sleep. Sleep is very important to help restore the body every single day to a state of well-being. And when we become chronically sleep deprived, either due to our jobs or due to underlying stress or whatever is going on in our lives, it only becomes heightened and eventually we become sick. So pay attention to your sleep. I did these last few days. It's been very relaxing here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm getting ready to fly back to Chicago in a few hours and, just totally relaxing. Also, when it comes to sleep, you can catch up on your sleep over the weekend, but don't overdo it. Some people just tend to sleep load over the weekend and then wake up with what seems to be a hangover. I've done that too. And usually the day does not become as productive as it usually would be. So, rule of thumb, set a set time to go to sleep and set a set time to wake up. Don't vary it unless you absolutely have to. Rule number 2, take any electronic equipment out of your room, or if you do have a big screen TV or whatever in your room, you may want to cover it with a dark cloth just to reduce the electromagnetic radiations. Rule number 3, reduce your caffeinated products before you go to sleep. Rule number 4, do not exercise or try not to exercise more than 2-3 hours close to bedtime. Rule number 5, don't eat a heavy meal before bedtime. It will probably give you heartburn or reflux and keep you up at night. Those are some of my strategies. If you have some that work for you or if you have any questions, drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, this is just to your health and well-being. Now, as an aside, tomorrow when I get back to Chicago, I am launching my first Learn It Live Academy. Learn It Live is an online platform that hosts classes from experts from around the world. And a few weeks ago, they invited me to feature my products, my strategies and and what it is that I talk about on their platform. So tomorrow, which is Thursday, hopefully, at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be hosting my first class on Learn It Live, and I'm very excited, so please join me. That's Thursday, August the 16th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. The topic is on how to thrive with diabetes. Now, I know if you're not a diabetic, you may feel this does not relate to you, but my guess is you probably know somebody who's a diabetic. So join me on the class, and it's going to be, a lot of information about your well-being and how you can implement some strategies to prevent the incidence of diabetes. Because just like I said, we tend to take in a lot of sugar and a lot of caffeine, and deprived sleep also helps to raise our blood sugars due to stress level. So you want to take some preventive strategies. Well, until next week, I'm signing off. Have a great day, everybody. Be well. And if you have any questions, again, reach out to me. Goodbye from Phoenix. Dr. Eno signing off.